We face division in every part of our lives, within ourselves, within our relationships, and in our work. But it doesn't have to be that way. To live fully, we must integrate all that God has made us to be with the work He has given us to do. This is My Boulevard's Integrate podcast, helping churches, nonprofits, and everyday Christians identify the divisions holding them back and giving them tools to make lasting change.
Welcome to My Boulevard's Integrate podcast, where we talk about the 7 core components of an integrated disciple making. I am here today with my lovely wife, Angie.
Hello.
We are here with Amisho.
The younger brother. What up?
And we have a special guest today. We have the James.
Keep it coming. I mean, 6'2",
6'2", all of it.
250 pounds.
Number 3 on your roster, but number 1 on your heart.
That's right. That's
Lynchburg's one and only.
That's right.
Yes.
It sounds safer than it's safer than it sounds. Lynchburg, but
And James, you're a pastor,
yes,
practitioner,
come on,
leader.
that's right.
Former
Rapper,
professor, rapper,
soon to be
Husband, daddy.
husband. That's right.
daddy, all of those
right.
things, right?
Yeah, and I'm coming to this Integrate conference.
Yes, and so that's what we're talking about.
Come on.
Coming to the Integrate conference. So
Right.
what are we talking?
I guess we're talking about coming to the... No, we're talking about the benefits of the Integrate Conference.
The benefits of the Integrate conference. Our goal here is to give you reasons why you need to sign up for this conference. This is going to be an amazing time. You will be helped in how you grow. And so we're here. The reason why we chose this topic is we are here. We brought in some of our speakers, some of our coaches, trainers. And
My name is Sam Lula, and I'd like to say that you guys need to come to the conference.
Yes, so that is a bad impersonation by Misha Lewis about Sam Dula, but Sam Dula is in the room. But we are here, and we are here trying to plan for this conference. It's August. We're putting down the details. We're finalizing. We're getting ready. This is like, if you are an influencer, or if you just desire to just take responsibility where you live, work, and worship, if you want to become the disciple that you want to see reproduce, you need to be here. And so we said, let's just take some time. We've been talking about it. Let's just take some time and just talk about what are some of the benefits of being at the conference. So I've been taught hospitality, and he says always let your guests go first. So we're going to allow James to go ahead and kick us off and talk about some of the benefits.
Yeah, I think about
being there.
I think about the big thing that comes to my mind is trying to be more effective in ministry, like trying to get to a place where I'm bearing fruit. And so for people out there who are like, man, I went to this conference, it was dope, and they went maybe solo dolo, and they came back, and it's this idea of you remember when and it's like, nah, I wasn't there. No, the dude, he said and it's like, nah, I didn't really get it. Mm-hmm. And even this idea of even trying to replay a video of it's different when you're in the room. And so really this conference is designed to don't just come by yourself, bring your team, bring a team of people, and then you've experienced a session or experienced multiple sessions, there's space and capacity to say, how can we unpack this together? How can we say okay, this was a great discipleship grid work that we found out. This is a great, idea of okay, I'm not fully integrated. I'm disintegrated as a leader. I have, my heart is all the way over here, but I'm just kind of doing these various things. And so having a space to where I can now decompress and unpack together with my team, hey, I'm feeling this, I'm sensing this about myself, about, and they're like, yeah, man, you kind of I feel like you checked out after this tragedy happened or whatever happened. Mm-hmm. And so, if you're trying to say how do we as a team of people, how do we as a staff, how do we, it doesn't even have to be the pastoral elder team, man, you're a kids leader, you are a worship leader, and you can bring your worship team out, just be a fully integrated leader. Right, being effective and reaching your boulevard. So,
but that's what I love about what you were saying, because in so many different ways we're going to be talking about different things. So when we talk about the city syllabus, we think about the syllabus with different districts, right? And so there's different districts and different people. And then for you as a pastor, you're going to talk to other pastors. Right. But there's not just pastors. There are different other types of people that are that represent different districts in the city. And so who wants to talk about some of the other different things or benefits that we have?
Well, you set that up, so I had another thought. Can I say my other thought instead?
Thought.
Okay. I was thinking about what James just said, and I think like I can see that the Lord is doing something. Like we did COVID, we all experienced that as a world. Like there's been this lull, and now there's like this, okay, what am I passionate about? What are we going to do next? And like I sense the Lord like renewing the church. Like here in Atlanta, I sense like there's something the Lord is doing, and there's that. And then, you know, we did the New Orleans, the Harbor Gathering, and you see like there's a hunger from other people too. And there's like, hey, we gotta make a difference. And it's like, whoa, okay, there's other people thinking like this too. So I think the conference, for me, the thing that I keep pointing to when people ask me like, what's it going to be about? I keep thinking this is going to address the loneliness, the isolation, I feel like I'm doing this on my own, and there's this huge mountain to climb, and I just don't have energy to do it. But when I look left and right and there's other people climbing the mountain, it's like, oh yeah, come on guys, we got this. I think it's not just the conference, the time and space. It's the reminder that God has his remnant, and that we're doing something, and that there's an energy that comes from that, you know. And I think we all need that this season of life, like the post lull, you know, like the feeling dry and isolated.
Yeah, because it is so much. I remember the first time that I went to the Impact Conference. Yeah. And I came from Denton, Texas, the University of North Texas, all the way to Atlanta, Georgia, which is only about a mile and a half from here. We were at the hotel, and I remember going, I was just like, I did not know that there were other African-American Christians all across the country. And I just remember feeling that this sense of refreshment and just like replenishment. And I think the same thing what you just said, Angie, is spot on, because so many of us are dealing with our problems isolated and individualized at our church. You know, since COVID, it's just kind of like, oh man, and it's like you get around other people, it's like, oh, I did not know that they're like, God is doing something right now. He's trimming his church, and he's getting the real, and and he's kind of building up. And it's like, it's not just in my church that people haven't come back, you know, and I'm not just a failed leader or a bad leader or whatever it is, but man, there's other, like, I'm not, you know, misery loves company, but that's not really what it's about. It's like, no, God is up to something. Yeah. And like you said, and there's like this new kind of hope that we all kind of feel like we're on the precipice of kind of this next iteration of what God is doing. And it's just like, man, there's other people that are that look like me, talk like me, act like me, or minister in context like me, that are ready. And so so I love what you're saying with that. But it's not just about the church, you know, it's just like pastors, but there's other areas.
Why do you laugh?
Because I think he thinks that every time we talk about things, I have to remind folks it's not just about pastors. So I don't know. Maybe that's my own insecurity.
Okay. Exactly.
All right.
You just hit that right on the head. Because it's not just about pastors.
Not just about pastors, but I do find it is about the church, though. And I do think it's highly important for us to talk about the church while at the same time not making it feel like the people who don't work within churches are outside of the, you know what I mean? And so marketplace creatives, marketplace professionals, whoever they are still vital to the church. And the reason why I'm excited about this is not necessarily because of that piece. I'm excited. When I was in my 20s, we talked about this on the last podcast. I think I was just excited to go to any conference. And you'll go to a conference and the people will speak about general topics, but they will be great. Like somebody can get up there and just talk about the holiness of God, and another person can get up there and talk about evangelism, and you would just be like, oh my gosh, this is great. I'm encouraged. Yeah. Now that I get older, I feel like, all right, you know, I do want more streamlined content, because I feel like I need to have more focused, more poignant content that gives that I know what I'm walking into and I know what I'm getting, and it helps me to better assess where I am as a human being. And I feel like this conference is doing just that with this idea.
Because it's leadership.
When you talk about integrated, I oftentimes feel like I can go somewhere and I can be pulled in 13 different directions. And although there may be 7 different topics, I don't feel like these topics are disintegrated in any way. I don't feel like I'm being pulled. If anything, I'm being cultivated in one whole
Knit
individual.
together.
Yeah. And I love that I can hear about culture while at the same time, what is this? How do I operate in culture as an emotionally healthy individual? But how do I do all that with also thinking right? You know what I mean? And I'm excited about that because I think that kind of stuff is not only important to pastors and leaders, but it's important to anyone who finds themselves responsible for a particular group of people, place, project. And I think that is what the Integrate conference is about, and that's what I'm excited about in regards to that.
Yeah, one of the things I think about is like I'm curious. Like, did y'all grow up in church? You and Shel?
No.
So what was the first conference you went to? Angie, did you grow up in church?
I did not.
What was like your first
My first conference was the Impact Conference also.
impact?
My first real conference. I mean, when I was, yeah. I mean, my father became a Christian when I was in high school. Heidi had already graduated, so I started to go to church like my last 2 years of high school. And we would have like little small church conferences, and they would force the youth to like learn the books of the Bible and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah. So you mean differentiating? Okay,
Like,
technically the title that was a conference, but that wasn't an impact.
It wasn't
That
multiple churches.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
just our church having a Friday night thing, and they would tell you to invite your friends, but I wouldn't invite my friends.
All right, so when I think about that, that's my church conference experience. It was like, our youth group, and it'd be like, yo, we doing something big, and it'd be like, all they did was have a poster on the stage, and I'm like, this was, it was something. But I would hear about the passions, I'd hear about the impacts, I'd hear about those things. And one of the things that I think, if I can encourage a pastor, it's just this idea of like, when I think about myself, and if there's someone out there that's similar, to me, it's like I rarely invest in myself.
Yeah.
I'm willing to do whatever. I'm willing to stay up late, but it's like, I remember I don't even remember, I'm trying to think of my first conference. I know I was an adult who finally was making enough money to go for myself, but like rarely did I invest in myself. And then secondly, I've never asked my church to send me. So if somebody's listening to this and it's just like, man, I really don't have the funds, man, really, I, as a ministry leader, could really use a couple days to hear from God, right? It's not even this idea of because the first conference that I knowingly went to was Legacy in Chicago.
Yeah.
And it was this idea of like, man, it was what I was really going for was to hear from God. It was like, yeah, I know it's going to be performances. I know it's going to be all of this, but it's like, for real, I'm dry. And my connectivity with God in Lynchburg, Virginia, it's like, it's all with my phone is on. It's, somebody's texting me, but I didn't have a space where I'm like, just
Lead me, Lord.
Yeah, me and the Lord.
Yeah.
And I'm with a crowd of people, but it's still me and the Lord, because it's like somebody just says one thing in a small conversation that wasn't just a small conversation. It was God getting my attention. It was God, spurring me on for mission, pulling out my desire. So, I want to challenge somebody out there who's like, man, I rarely invest in myself. Invest in yourself. Make the investment. Say, I'm going to come to Atlanta, right? I'm going to, not only secure my ticket here, man, I'm going to get here, I'm going to put my feet up, and I'm going to hear from God.
I'm going to take that a step further. Invest in your marriage, like yourself and your spouse, because doing ministry, and I know we just said this isn't just about pastors, but doing ministry is hard, and it's hard on the family.
Yeah.
And it's weighty. So I think the same sentiment, like ask the church to send you and your wife, do that together, because that could be and
James, you I think you articulated it well. Basically what I was trying to say was, before I would go to conferences, and it was an investment in myself to just hear from the Lord, because I was just hungry to just hear good content. Now I am more focused on particular things that I need to invest in myself. Yeah. So for instance, we are, I would probably go to a Working Genius conference before I go to another conference that just is, the fire conference, right. on Jesus.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm excited about being on fire for Jesus, but this Working Genius is actually an investment that I think I need and where I am right now. And I feel like the Integrate conference is that type of conference, because you're going to get the kind of assessment, the evaluation of yourself, the investigation of who you are and how it's going to make you more healthy in particular ministry, work, vocational spaces. You know what I mean? Right. And so when you say invest in yourself, man, that just is sent. I was like, that's exactly what it is. I'm excited. about this conference because this is really an investment, not just an investment spiritually, but I also think it's a social and emotional, and it could be also a financial investment that gets people, because the kind of information that you're going to get, I think you can also replicate it and duplicate it and go be, it can make value for you yourself.
Amen.
If that makes sense, yeah.
And I think that is so critical in what you're saying, because we don't invest in ourselves, and because we don't like pour that time into ourselves, because we've been doing the Boulevard Conference. We did it like for 3 years in a row in like 2015, 2018. If you haven't been to My Boulevard Conference, we have always tried to pride ourselves at the conference, to think about the conference in the conference. Like oftentimes when we go to conferences, it's like you can go and you hear the speakers, but a lot of times the speakers they're giving the message that you get in their book. Like you could just go read their books and those things, but it's just like the time after the conference that where you're able to interact with that conversation you have, or that connection you have, or even some of the practical details of like what you said, like we go to a Working Genius conference and you're like, oh man, how do you implement this in your life? And you're just like, oh, this is what I do. It's like those are the things that catapult you. But what we have always prided ourselves is like, man, we want to create a conference that is about the in between conversations. So it's not one of those conferences that is going to be a lot of knowledge, and where we're trying to get like the biggest names and the best speakers and all of the things. We're just like, we're gonna get real practitioners who can articulate well and who are doing it and is really trying to think it, but it's aimed at like helping you. So we're saying like, we want people to leave and it says, man, this was helpful. I know better how to grow as a disciple and a disciple maker. So, and that's really what this is about. When we talk about integrate, we're saying like these are 7 core components that you need to integrate in. And that's really, as a healthy disciple maker, as a healthy disciple and disciple maker, that we're going to give you tools that will help you to basically take an assessment of yourself, right? To see, okay, where can I grow and how these things, work together to help me grow. And that we'll give you tools that will help you take a better assessment of others that you are trying to pour your life into, right? That says, oh, this is where they're stuck. And then allowing you to, like, again, take responsibility. We want to give you those tools to help you. So it's not just kind of a pie in the sky philosophical. We're going to frame it, but then we're going to get down, and we're going to, get down on our, my proverbial knee in this sense, and we can help one another and work through this, the things, the stuck points that each and every one of us have in our life. And so that's why I'm excited for this conference. This is why you ought to be excited for this conference, because it is going to help you. It will help your team. Yeah. It will help you to become the type of person that you want to see reproduced in your life, right? And so come, register. MyBLVDcon.co. Register. Don't just come by yourself. Bring a team. It will help you.
And to Andrew's point, bring your spouse.
Or bring your spouse. That's one of your teams. Yeah. So come on through. We can't wait to see you.
October 19th to the 21st.
Thank you for listening to My Boulevard's Integrate podcast. Be sure to visit us online at myboulevard.co. That's myboulevard.co. Or follow us on social media to stay updated on all things My Boulevard.